Hi, I'm Lisa Cannon, and on Spotlight this week we chat exclusively to the Grammy Award nominated Sharon Corr from the band The Corrs. Spotlight in association with Space 2. Welcome to Spotlight with me, Lisa Cannon, here at the Stella Cinema Rathmines in Dublin in their gorgeous cocktail lounge. Well, Grammy-nominated Sharon Corr from The Corrs, who have sold over 45 million albums worldwide. Sharon is also a solo artist and has described her third studio album, The Fool and the Scorpion, as a rebirth that emerged from a total renaissance in her life, the breakdown of her 18-year marriage. Well, Sharon currently lives in Madrid and kindly spoke to me very honestly and candidly about dating again, touring with the Rolling Stones, and her very famous family. Sharon, you are so welcome on Spotlight, all the way over there in Madrid. How are you doing?
I'm really good. Thank you so much. It's great to be on with you, and you're doing so well on your show. So I'm really happy for you. It's great. Well done.
Oh, thank you, Sharon. Now let's get straight to it and talk about your third studio album. It's absolutely wonderful, and I know you're so proud of it. It's highly personal, as everybody knows who's going to listen to it, but also it's so beautifully done. Tell us more.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, I mean this album I started in 2015, and I was going through some big changes in my life, and my go-to sort of sanctuary was the piano. You know, when everything's sort of like in upheaval in your life and you have this safe place, and it was there, and I just kept writing song after song after song falling out of me without even thinking about it. I mean, it was a lovely process of creativity, and I'm super grateful for it.
Indeed, Sharon. And actually, what's so empowering and wonderful is that you've been so open, honest, and transparent with all of us. And of course, we're the listeners, so we're hearing about your journey in the album, but not only of the hurt and the vulnerability, but also of the healing. The good news is that you are back dating again. How is that going?
I mean, it's a whole new brave world out there. So dating is like, for me, it's like, taking on trigonometry. I have no idea what I mean, it's a joke. It's a joke. So, it's like all this, everybody's on Tinder. Of course, I'm not on Tinder. And it's like all this, I'm like, could I just not, sort of meet somebody like naturally and have a conversation? But you know what, to be honest, I'm kind of like, I've had a huge relationship in my life, and, small other ones, but I'm really kind of focused on my career and my kids and, being who I am rather than, just becoming part of another thing, So, yeah, if some gorgeous dude comes along and wants to wine and dine me, I'm in.
Absolutely. Well, let's talk about music. Now, it has been the constant thread in the tapestry of your life, but how important is music to you and your well-being?
My road was always music. I mean, there was just no question about that. And I it's kind of my calling, and it is my calling actually, and it's my therapy. It's my happiness. I absolutely music is heaven. Like, recording this album was, apart from having my two children, was the happiest moment of my life.
Oh, wow.
Absolute happiest moment of my life.
That's a big statement, because, we all have happy moments, but to kind of, label this particular album your happiest, with also that it brought you so much pain, and cathartically you had to obviously write it because a lot was happening to you. I mean, that's quite poignant in a career to be able to say that.
Well, I think, you know, there's obviously there's pain and there's frustration and there's anger on the album, but there's also, you know, ridiculous me laughing at myself. You know, it's like, you know, Running on Rooftops is basically the hangover song from hell, you know, and it's like, get me a gurney, where's my meds? Because you feel that bad the next day, you know. And it was just me remembering sort of being on tour, you know, years ago, and you know, a hangover or two, and you're like, oh, good grief, why did I do that? But it was really great at the time. You know, like it's like knowing full well, you know, it's not going to end well, you know. But I mean, that's us Irish, in that don't regret a moment, and got me a good song.
Running on rooftops.
Sharon's video for Running on Rooftops has a sepia vignette feel, almost cartoonish, and there's a very good reason why it's meant to look like that.
You remember Penelope Pitstop?
Yes.
All right, so I'm Penelope Pitstop. I see this is why the album is quite funny as well. And people think, oh, it's a sad album, it's a breakup album. It's actually not actually. It's a kind of an album of me sort of embracing myself in many, many ways. All of my stuff, my fury, my love, my romanticism, my vulnerability, my laughter, everything's in there, you know. So I'd sort of said to him that it was, you know, I felt like kind of, you know, I'm like Penelope Pitstop, and I'm on the train lines, you know, and I'm like, you know, I'm strapped up to the train lines, and I need the Anthill mob to come and, you know, rescue me. And so that was sort of, and then we went on a different theme, but it's that sort of, you know, sort of flashing images of the person dancing and having fun, and, you know, that sort of thing. So it just was kind of a loose sort of version of, pretty loose version of me, but I really loved what he did. It was kind of joyful.
Speaking of joyful, the Rolling Stones. Now, you have to tell me, they are one of my all-time favorite bands in the world, as you can see with my Ronnie Wood print here behind me. Now, the Corrs, you supported them during their Bridges to Babylon tour. I think that was in 1998 in Germany. But what was that like, meeting and performing on stage? And since, of course, they're rock gods, Mick Jagger, you know, Keith Richards, Ronnie Wood, what was that feeling of meeting them as a young group?
I remember getting on stage the first night, and we're standing on stage, and it's kind of like, this is insanity, you know, this is insane. I mean, we were playing to like 100,000 people in Nuremberg, you know, it was just insane. And at one stage, I looked over to the right, and all 4 members of the Stones were watching us.
Oh, stop.
I literally had to sort of stick myself in a box in my head and not think about that. I was like going like this. I was going, I can't see them. I'm playing. I can't see them, you know, because it was just like, oh, the pressure. But, you know, it was kind of cool that they came up to see us. They were super nice, not, you know, standoffish at all. Really nice, and kind of hung out with Keith quite a bit, you know, playing pool before gigs and stuff like that. And he loves his shepherd's pie, so we'd have shepherd's pie every evening. So it's like very simple stuff like that. When you see like the guys, and it's just like they love their shepherd's pie, or they love their, you know, that sort of cheese and sort of Worcester sauce sandwich, you know, that type of thing. It's
More like a toasted cheesy, basically, yeah.
Type of thing. And I'm like, oh God, that's the cutest thing in the world. They just really appreciate what they have. And I remember watching them, you know, in Prague on that tour, out front watching them and going, those guys entertain like nobody else. And that's pure respect for the audience. They haven't gotten, oh, we're the Rolling Stones, we'll just turn up and play. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. They put everything into their performance. So it was a nice learning curve as well, and sort of a nice validation of kind of what I'd already felt myself, is that you always have to really respect and appreciate what you do and do your best.
And you can see part 2 of my exclusive interview with Sharon Corr in just a moment. 2 words: Brad Pitt. Yes, from the director of Atomic Blonde, David Leitch, comes the eagerly anticipated Bullet Train, starring the long flowing locks of Mr. Brad Pitt. It follows 5 hired killers who unknowingly board the same train where they've been sent to carry out different assignments. There's also a stellar supporting cast such as Sandra Bullock and Aaron Taylor-Johnson, and it's going to be a white knuckle ride of the summer. It's not out until July 29th, so you'll have to wait a wee while to see Brad in action, but I thought I'd cheer you up a little bit in April and give you a sneaky peek of Brad and what's coming down the track in Bullet Train.
Hi, there's a gun on.
Shh, Ryan. It's the quiet car. Gotta use your small inside voice in here, son.
There's a gun.
Talk to me.
I am ready. You are getting the new and improved me. Because if you put peace out in the world, you get peace back.
I think you might be forgetting what you do for a living. Take the gun.
Every job I do, somebody dies. I'm not that guy anymore.
Some conflicts require a gun.
Hey, this is nice. Okay, what am I snatching and or grabbing?
A briefcase. You said you wanted simple for your first job back. Doesn't get simpler.
You stabbed me? We'll ruin your life the way you ruin mine.
Dude, I don't even know you!
There's nothing simple about this job.
Something else going on here.
Yeah, I'm not the only one on this train looking for this case.
Evan, where's the briefcase?
Oh, it's that shit. It was just here.
We are right on schedule.
Everything that's ever happened to you
This is gonna sting!
has led you here. Fate.
That's a deal.
Oh, no, thank you.
You know what? Do you have anything sparkling? That's the one. Thank you. Domo arigato. You sure you want to talk this out?
Not particularly, no.
Okay.
The spotlight turns back now to part 2 of my exclusive interview with Sharon Corr in Madrid. The Corrs have been immersed in the music scene, both Irish and international, for over 30 years. What with 45 million albums worldwide, there's no surprise that their biggest hits, Runaway, Breathless and Forgiven Not Forgotten, have been featured in many movies and TV shows, namely Sex and the City. But does this dominant global appeal and notoriety ever feel a little strange to Sharon Corr when you come from a small town in Dundalk?
Kind of surreal in many ways, you know. It's kind of like you work that hard and we really did. I mean, we went all over the world and we were like working 24 hours a day, and you know, we're going from city to city and country to country, and it was, you know, I remember doing 4 continents in 3 weeks, and it was, you know, incredible. We really did work for it. But then when it kind of, you know, actually happens, obviously we wrote songs that people identified with, and Runaway being one of the one that people identified with most. I mean, my kind of moment was I was watching Sopranos, and the daughter comes, because I was a junkie for Sopranos. I mean, I just literally binged that thing to death. And I remember the daughter coming downstairs, and I can't remember her name now, but she's on headphones and you can hear her listening to Breathless. And I'm like, oh my God, we're in Sopranos. We've arrived, you know? And then I was watching another film one night with that gorgeous guy. What's his name? Oh my God.
I love your honesty.
Dermot Mulhern or something like that. Dermot Mulhern, he's absolutely gorgeous. anyway, he's in this movie called The Wedding Date, and I'm watching it one night at home. I mean, like sort of years after all of this had happened, and the opening sequence is breathless. I mean, the whole song, and I never knew that.
Sharon, it's amazing to see your surprise and honesty, as if to say, like, how could we have been so big? But the band, you are Grammy nominated, you've got Brit Awards, 45 million albums to date sold, tours with the Rolling Stones, U2, Lenny Kravitz. I mean, need I go on? But it's actually really sweet that you're so humble about the scope and that really wide scope that the Corrs have travelled all four corners of the globe, really.
Well, I know, but you still don't see yourself that way. You know, you still kind of, you know, because we're a very grounded bunch, you know, and, you know, you still sort of, it kind of feels extremely surreal, you know, that experience. It's correct, it's right, but it kind of feels, wow, every single time. Oh, we're from Dundalk, we're just from a small town in Ireland. What? You know, it's like, it's that sort of moment. I remember playing, you know, we played 6 nights in Wembley. And I remember standing on stage in soundcheck with Andrea, and that was a really super big deal for us. And I remember saying to Andrea, I said, seriously, pinch yourself. Because if you don't remember this, it would be awful. You know what I mean? Because things were going too fast. We were running from promo to stage, off stage to meet and greets, and then next day on a plane and all this sort of stuff. I was like, no, this moment has to be really felt and really appreciated, you know? So I think there's obviously luck involved. I think a lot of hard work can bring a sprinkling of luck.
Your incredible style and the look of the time was just fabulous. You know, the green smoky eyeshadow, the dark floaty clothes. My dad was forever saying to me to copy the look, as in you guys, you know, Andrea, Sharon, Caroline, you've got a certain look. But where did it come from?
The smoky eyes
actually
came from, we did a video to the right time in Los Angeles at one stage. And the makeup artist on the set started using smoky eyes. And I was like, I really like this look. This is, you know, gorgeous. She was mixing it with this sort of a, you know, twiggy sort of, early 70s feel or whatever. But it was, you know, she did the smoky eyes, and I thought, well, I really love that. So we didn't really think about it. We just sort of went on with it. And then also it's kind of like about comfort more than fashion, but you need to look good. So, you know, the sort of the long skirts and sort of floaty clothes were really much easier to get on after a flight than a super pair of tight jeans or something like that, you know. So it was kind of like, you know, comfort fashion, but it worked. It became sort of identified as our look.
So Sharon, I ask all my guests about this on Spotlight. Fame. Yeah, exactly. You've had your fair share of it. So is all that glitters gold or not?
Fame's the strangest bloody thing ever. I mean, it's just, you know, I didn't set out in this, you know, in my musical path to become famous. I set out to do great things musically. And then the byproduct was fame, you know, but then also recognition musically. Fame's unusual. I never really sort of apportion it to myself, if you know what I mean. But then every so often I'm in a place and people are having this, you know, huge reaction, and I'm kind of like, what's going on? And you know, and then my friends would go to me, Sharon, they just recognized you. And I went, no way, you know. So it's like I'm never sitting in company and thinking about that. The one thing that fame is really useful for is using your name to get top of the list in a restaurant, and I do that. Fame is kind of the smallest barometer of your success, if you know what I mean. It's it's a sort of double-edged sword, because, you know, if you're famous and something goes wrong in your life, then that's it, you know. And then if you're famous and something goes right in your life, then that's it. But I've tried to just publicize my music and my lyrics and what I do, and really, you know, maintain an extremely private life. And so far it's worked quite well for me.
And finally, Sharon, you're about to go on tour with Jeff Beck in May and June in the UK. Plus, you've got, of course, this album, The Fool and the Scorpion, and you're writing more material for another album. So it's safe to say that you're as busy as ever.
I've got a ton of stuff to do. I'll be out on tour on my own for the rest of the year. I'm already starting to record a new album, so I'm kind of piecing together stuff. So I started the piano track on a new song the other night. So I mean, I'm never going to stop. I mean, seriously, I mean, they have to stick me in a hospital to make me stop. It's not going, or stick me in a grave. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah, we'll have to tase you, Sharon, to stop it. But no, the most important thing is that you keep delivering and keep coming with all the great tracks for all of us to listen and enjoy. And that also, in the beauty about it is, it makes you so happy. You know, this is your calling. This is what your vocation is, literally.
Well, I would be very down on myself if I wasn't doing this, I have to say. You know, when you don't do like the way that you, like that you sprung out on your own recently, you know what I mean? The way you sprung out with Spotlight. That's the thing in life. It's like, if you don't follow that instinct in yourself, you will regret it. And you did it. And that's why I do what I do, because I don't want to have any regrets. And I don't want to say, oh, I could have done that. I should have done that on my deathbed. No, I'm going for it.
Yeah.
If it doesn't work, well, I think it will work, because I'm just kind of like, I'm really positive person about what I do. And as long as I'm delivering honesty and truth and real good music, then I'm a happy camper.
Well, that's it for this week of Spotlight, but coming up on next week's show, I chat to IFTA winning actor Mo Dunford in Space 2 about his latest horror, a remake of the classic 70s hit Texas Chainsaw Massacre, currently streaming on Netflix, and his IFTA winning role in Night Ride, a brilliant white knuckle ride film shot in just one take. Mo is fast becoming a household name, and my chat with this rising star is fascinating. Don't miss it. I'll be back again here next week at the Stella Cinema, shining a light on all the entertainment that matters. We'll see you then. Take care. Bye-bye. Spotlight in association with Space 2.